Yo, 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 welcome back to another edition of the OTBN NBA recap show. Today, I'm here with my guys, Edgar and Mo. What's going on, fellas?
Mo,
So, bro,
what's good? Not much. Just doing a quick 20 minutes or so before I got to go to work, so might not stay here too long.
Appreciate you guys chiming in, coming in. But first, the show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Make sure to go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, to get $20 off your first purchase of anything. You want to go to the NBA games? We got college basketball season, NHL, all that. Broadway play. Want to take your lady to? Use the promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps, to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com, your number one place for all your ticket needs. I also have
Hey, Chris,
the sponsor stuff.
I can vouch for that, by the way. I used the discount code to go to Survivor Series in
There you go.
Boston a couple months ago.
Yes, glad people have used it. But we also some other news. We also have a new sponsor, and they are called Dubby. They are an energy drink company. So very happy to be partnering with Dubby. Here's a quick little video and all that, just to show you a little bit of what what they're. So they're just an energy drink company, up and coming energy drink company that we're partnering with at Off the Ball Network. So I'm very happy to be working with them. We're gonna have they got a lot of good stuff there, and I can't wait to get some of their products in and all that. But when you go there, make sure to use our promo code OTBN10 or click the link. There's a link we have that you could check on our website, or you could check on our Twitter or an Instagram, and you click that link directly. But all you got to do is hit OTBN10 to get 10% off your purchase at W. Like I said, they got a lot of cool stuff. They got some starter packs, the shakers and all that, a lot of good stuff, very excited to be working with them, and we'll have more info as we go along, but I'm very excited about that partnership. But let's get right into it, guys. So you know how we do. We're going to dive into a little bit of the games that happened last night, and then we're going to get into the good stuff that happened and yesterday. But let's get into. We want to dive into the Pelicans 136, Sacramento Kings 104. Pelicans take care of business. They absolutely dominated this game and all that. And we had Trey Murphy had 30 points and all that. So any thoughts about this game before we move on? Like I said, we don't got to dive. There was a lot of blowouts today, last night.
Well, are the Pelicans finally starting to turn things around a little bit after that? What was it, a 10-game losing streak? Did it reach 10?
Mm-hmm. It reached 10. Yeah,
it was 10.
It was rough. That's rough.
That's is it me, or does it seem like a lot of NBA teams this season are streaking either with losses or wins? I've seen a lot of different streaks this season, like from a lot of different teams.
It's been that type of year.
Yeah, like a lot of teams.
Well, injuries too. You got to remember, we've seen a massive amount of injuries this year, so that's definitely been a key fact, a reason why we've seen a lot of teams streaking. It's because of these injuries. It's been crazy with the injuries and all that. But Pelicans were a team I was very high on and all that, and it just seems like they just went through a really bad stretch. But I think they could bounce back, especially with Bi. And maybe they get Zion back. But they didn't even have Bi in this game.
No,
that's the impressive part.
I think this game it was actually a team effort. Why they got the win? I mean, you got Trey Murphy, who you mentioned, 30 points. Marshall had 17 points. Larry Nance Jr.
Also, no Fox there was no Fox for Sacramento too. So
that's big, of course. CJ McCollum had 24. Willie Hernan Gomez, haven't heard that name in a while. 22.
Former Knick legend.
I wasn't even going to mention
brother of a movie star.
Kyrie Lewis Jr.
My guy.
So it was a whole team effort.
Yeah,
so
everyone contributed.
Yeah. Everybody pitched a good team win in general.
They needed that.
No Zion.
Yeah, they definitely needed that. But they take care of business. Like I said, no De'Aaron Fox for Sacramento. They take care of business. Good win for them, and gets them a little bit back on. I think they're on a 2-game win streak, I believe.
Yeah.
So gets them back on track in that low, like that congested Western Conference that's just really bunched up right now. They're in 9th place right now, and with Steph injury, which is another thing we're gonna dive into. that's huge. That kind of changes how the Warriors are, because the Warriors sit in 8th place right now. Like I said, the Pelicans might be getting healthy at the right time, even though
Mhm.
with the losing streak, and you know, OKC's playing, good basketball. We talked about them yesterday. How they had they won 153 to like 127 against Houston. Like they have a good team and all that, so they're playing good right now. So good win for the Pelicans, and they're climbing up a little win streak here. But Minnesota Timberwolves 128, the Denver Nuggets 98. The Wolves have definitely been playing very good They're one, like Mo. Remember we talked about with the Knicks, how the Knicks aren't a good home team but a good road team. It's the opposite with Minnesota. Minnesota's a very good road home team, but they're not good on the road and all that. But and that's always kind of like the discrepancy is kind of huge and all that. But they do have a good. It's like Sacramento has a good home court advantage. Like you could saw the video where it was like Kevin Huerter hit the three, and and you hear from the TV and you're like, wow, that's loud. Like, and I think that's
Mhm.
to have a good home court advantage. But Minnesota takes care of business. 128-98. D'Angelo Russell had 18 and 10. I don't think Jokic didn't play, right? I don't believe Jokic played. They didn't have a lot of their guys playing. Jamal Murray.
No, Jokic
Aaron
didn't
was
play
out.
in
They
the
played against. They were just playing against Michael Porter and Christian Braun essentially, but they got the job done. They got the win, and Anthony Edwards making that push for maybe an injury replacement for Steph Curry in the All-Star game. Is that something we might be seeing? Because
He
Steph
was
Curry
one of the guys who
won't be
got
playing.
snubbed. He is one
So
of the guys who got snubbed. So possibly, I mean, you're looking at De'Aaron Fox maybe if he's healthy. Who knows? Maybe it can be between those two guys.
I think it's going to go down to I think it's going to come down to one of those two guys getting that spot for De'Aaron Fox, unless it's because obviously we know like the All-Star format has changed. It's now East versus West like it used to be. It's essentially they just picking, they pick whoever, and it's East versus West can be on the same team. So I don't know if they're going to pick replacements just based off the Western Conference or just overall. I think maybe they're just going to do the Western Conference replacement because, but so
I
I'm
would
not
imagine
sure.
so.
I would imagine so. I would imagine so. So I
So
don't know if it's a whole thing, but
Because they still do East versus West when it comes to players on the roster, like
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
in the rosters, but then they
The
don't
draft
do
is
East versus West. So I would
yeah.
assume if a West guy goes down, like Steph goes down, probably not going to play in the All-Star game. I would assume it'd be De'Aaron Fox or Anthony Edwards. Like I don't think you're replacing Steph with James Harden. Like
no,
Yeah, that's
I
what I
mean,
was trying to think. Like, I wasn't sure if it was that if they were going to do like just everyone, but I that makes sense since technically they picked East West as far as who gets to the game, but like the actual draft is whoever. Like they can pick whoever. LeBron is going to pick whoever's on his team and all that. So, but yeah, it's probably going to come down to Anthony Edwards and De'Aaron Fox to pick for that spot, and I think both are deserving. So whoever gets the spot, I'm cool with.
mhm.
I'm not gonna really trip over it. It's gonna suck that the other guy's not gonna make it, but they could, they could be an injury replacement down the line. We still don't know what Kevin Durant's gonna do, if he's gonna play and all that, all that. So, but they take care of business 128-98. Let's get into the next game.
you know what? Funny now that you mentioned that. Now that I think about it, so what happened? I don't mean what happens with Kyrie in terms of the All-Star game? Like he's still in it, but now he plays for the West, right? So
Well, it won't matter. Like
It won't matter, yeah.
it's
It
not
won't
going to matter because
oh, okay, 'cause I was a little bit confused because I'm like, okay, he switched conferences, but he had a spot in the Eastern team.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now,
If
I
it
mean,
was the old
he's-
format, if it was
game,
old
yeah.
format, it would be an issue
oh,
because
okay,
but since it's a draft, it's not gonna matter
Got
essentially. So yeah, because I saw a lot of people mention that, and I was for a second I was like, no, it's not East versus West traditional. I forgot. So it's
so when are they having the draft?
when is
On
the
the-
draft? It's
the
draft.
day-
It's the day of the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's an hour before the All-Star game. They're drafting on the court.
Yeah, it's not like a TNT. You know how they do a TNT like before. I don't
It's
know.
like pickup ball style draft. Like
Oh,
we're
so they changed it because I remember.
I think that's pretty cool because I think that's it gives you it's more drama, it adds more to the game, and it's just gonna be cool to see like it's old like exactly like it's essentially like pickup. Hey, I got him. You got him. Boom, 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 bam, and back and forth. And who's the last pick and all that? That's going to be intriguing and all that. Like, that's going to add a lot of more. It's one thing to do it on TV with Ernie doing it. That's cool. But like to do it live,
like on the court, and you feel slighted being the last guy picked up.
You're not. It's like we all don't want to be the last person playing kickball and all.
Yeah,
you never want to be the last pick.
Yeah.
So it's like who's going to be a grown man and be the last pick. That's going to be interesting. So that I think that adds it up. But the Raptors 106, Grizzlies 103. Obviously, with the Raptors, there's a lot going on. Trade rumors, obviously the OG stuff and all that. Grizzlies, what are they going to do? Maybe they make a move and all that. I know Grizzlies Twitter wants, number 7 to come there and all that. So that's going to be interesting. But Raptors have been up and down all season, but they get a win that they desperately needed. Cavaliers 122, Pacers 103. There's a lot of stuff going on with Kevin Love. And I saw people talking about it and I never got into it, but essentially it's potentially a buyout situation.
He might get traded. They said he's expected to be traded or he'll probably get bought out. They moved him out of the rotation. So Kevin Love's time in Cleveland is going to be over, and there will probably be a lot of championship contenders that would, especially if he gets bought out, there will probably be a lot of contenders that would love to add a Kevin Love. I'm not saying he's the difference in winning a championship, but when you're a contender and you can add another guy who adds depth to the bench, who's been there, who's won a championship, who has playoff experience, and you don't need him to do a lot. If you want me to be honest, Memphis Grizzlies should be looking at Kevin Love. I'm not saying, but they need that veteran guy. I think Memphis should look at him. I'm sure we'll hear that Miami's considering him. Like, I'm sure they're going to be interested. The Lakers could be interested. There's a lot of teams. I think everybody's going to covet that they're going to want Kevin Love, but it's just about, I think he would work perfectly in Memphis. You don't, 12 to 15 minutes a game essentially, but you have that veteran guy in the locker room who's been there and can kind of help lead those young guys in this playoff run that they want to have. So I don't know. I don't know how Grizzlies fans would feel about it. Don't really care. I just, I think Kevin Love would make a lot of sense in Memphis just to have that veteran guy who's been there, done that before.
Yeah. Oh, he would. I think he'd be a solid, especially off the bench. We're talking. He's not like, this isn't Kevin Love of old where, he's 25 and 15 and he takes away from, John Moran or anything else. He's coming off the bench, giving you 12 to 15 minutes, shooting, giving you 10 points, maybe, shooting some threes. Well, team doesn't need a 3-point shooter, a stretch 4 3-point shooter. I think most teams could probably use a Kevin Love type player off the bench.
I think the Bucks might potentially look at him as well. I mean, championship window isn't closed per se, isn't exactly closing, but it's not as open as it used to be years before. So, with Giannis there, still being 27, 28, you might want to, bolster up the team a little bit any way you can, What better to do it? Add Kevin Love, guy won a championship, 3-point shooter, big. I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming off the bench with the Bucks. And again, you're getting. I'm not sure if they got rid of Serge Ibaka yet, but they were looking to. So maybe Kevin Love could be that direct replacement. He definitely would be an upgrade over Ibaka right now.
100%.
Yeah, Kevin Love ain't going nowhere to start. Like he no matter where he goes, he's coming off the bench. If you are a team who adds Kevin Love and expecting him to start, you're not good. Like, you're not a good team, so there's no point in adding Kevin Love. Like, it's really for not even just championship contenders, anybody. Like, playoff teams. Like, if you're one of those top 7, 8 seeds and you feel like you can get a slight upgrade, East or West, like if you want me to be honest, the perfect spot would be Golden State. Like, Kevin Love in Golden State would just be a perfect fit for how his game is right now and the way they run an offense. And he would fit perfectly in Golden State. So, backing up Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, like, I think the perfect spot for him would be Golden State as far as just being entered into it, adding a little bit more depth for Golden State, and Golden State already reigning champs, adding a championship player, I think would make, like, that makes the most sense to me, just based off of fit, it'd be easy. Like Kevin Love come in here and shoot with the rest of the shooters. Like,
yeah, I think there's most, like I mentioned before, most teams. I mean, add him to Milwaukee. I mean, they're streaking right now. We talk about streaking. They're streaking in a good way. They think they won 7 in a row. Middleton coming back. They're already a really good 3-point shooting team. I think they're 4th or 5th in 3-point shooting percentage. Mm-hmm. You add Kevin Love to that, that's just gonna expand, especially when you got Giannis and you add, you got Connaughton on the corner, you got Drew, you got Grayson Allen. Like, Giannis can literally just pick who he wants to, when he attacks the basket and all that, and just dish it out. And that could be very, very another lethal dose for them and helps them.
And I mean, just for fun and to check it out, I mean, you can even run a big lineup with like Brook Lopez at the 5.
Yeah, they
or
a lot of guys.
At the 3, and you get the 3-point shooting from both Kevin Love and Brook Lopez to open up the floor, just to test it out.
And Brook can protect the rim, so you're not really worried about Kevin Love being a liability on defense. You got Giannis, you got Drew Holiday, you got Brook protecting the rim, so you don't even really need defense from Kevin Love. You hit me, a couple threes a night, and essentially you've contributed. I don't care about him not being a good defender. I got defenders everywhere in Milwaukee, so I don't need him. I just need him. I just need another 3-point shooter. I don't need defense. I don't need none of that. Obviously, you're going to try, but at the same time, like, oh, he doesn't play no defense. Like, yeah, he doesn't have to. He get a couple rebounds, hit a couple threes, and he'll fit right in. Like, he's catching passes from Giannis, driving dish. Like Edgar said, you have a big lineup where you'll have like Middleton, Holiday, and then you got, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Kevin Love. And if you really want to spice it up, Middleton could go to the bench once Bobby Portis come back. You put Bobby Portis out there too. I got number rebounders and guys who can shoot, like, and we're big.
And length too. They got length and all that. I think Milwaukee, man. I think they're super dangerous. I think right now they're the best team in the Eastern Conference.
They just have to stay healthy. Big key is Chris Middleton staying healthy. That's the big one, because
he's their key.
Lately, he hasn't been too healthy. Hopefully, now that he's back, he can stay healthy just for the remainder of the season and the playoffs, and they should be good. But if he goes down again with one of those nagging injuries, then whole different story.
Yeah, because that offense wasn't really clicking early in the season. That's kind of why Giannis's splits weren't as good as they were in previous years. But now that Middleton's back and all, now we're seeing Giannis being efficient again, dropping 50-point games. And all that. So I think the addition of Middleton, that's like getting a free agent essentially. Mm-hmm. Your free agent is someone you just, and they were playing good, they were playing solid without him. Now you add Middleton back healthy and all that. And I think that's just, and Connaughton too, healthy and all that. That's just going to be scary for the Bucks. But getting back to Cleveland and all that, and Kevin Love, we'll see what that happens. But I think their starting lineup, when they click Cleveland, I think it's dangerous, because you got Okoro getting 20 in this game. Now, Okoro can defend and all that, but what's been the biggest thing with Isaac Okoro is his scoring, right? That's his Achilles heel is the shooting and all that. But if you add that, they have 5 guys spread the ball around in double figures and all that. So, and Mobley had, I think, 18 and 10 and all that. Like, and that helps out Donovan Mitchell, who's been kind of nicked up of late. He's had a hammy. He's had a few things. He got hurt in the last play of the Knicks game and all that. You don't have to have those guys do so much. That's big. So if they can get Okoro going a little bit, he was efficient too this game too. So that's good for them. And then the Pacers, it just feels like, they finally coming back to earth. They're finally coming back to earth. And but they do have a good future. They do have a good future and all that, but they're finally coming back to earth and all that. But Cleveland takes care of business on the road. Orlando versus the Hornets. Orlando takes care of business. Orlando might be the best bad team in like NBA history, because they're just they got guys. They got some real players and all that. And they had suspensions and all that. We talked about that. Suggs got suspended for a game. Bama got suspended and all that. But LaMelo had 33 and 8 with 6 assists and all that. Paolo had 22 and 10. You think Paolo makes the All-Star team next year?
Probably.
He has a good
All-Star this year, so probably.
He was a borderline All-Star this year. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I think Orlando will be a little bit better. They're so bad that they aren't fully out of the Wemby sweepstakes, essentially.
That's the scary part. It's like they could hit the lottery too. Like,
but when you watch Orlando play, you do feel like they're one of those teams, like they don't play a bad brand of basketball. Like they don't get the wins, but you don't feel like you're watching a bad team. So
exactly, 100%.
And so to still be like in the Wemby sweepstakes, or they could end up with Scoot, like, you know, I know the chances are against them at this moment, but we still got a basically second half of the season after the All-Star game. Like, yeah, I think Orlando could be that, like, next year they're the team who kind of really before Cade Cunningham went down, we kind of thought Detroit would be a borderline play-in team. Like, I think that'll be Orlando next year, especially if they do get the luck of the draw in the draft and get one of them top 3 spots. We know they're going to get a certified hooper. Especially if they get one of the top 2 picks, then we know they're getting who we would probably project to be the next star. So I think they'll be good enough that Paolo gets in, and he's a big enough name. I mean, there were people pitching for him to make it as a rookie, and we don't really talk about rookies making an all-star game, and people felt like he should have been. I don't, but just for the simple fact that I don't really think rookies should be in the all-star game. You kind of have your Rising Stars Challenge game afforded to you anyway. And if Orlando was like the 6th seed in the East, I'd be having a different conversation. But
100%.
Orlando just ain't good enough, and Paolo numbers ain't great enough for me to be like, yeah, that's just screaming all-star. But he's definitely on his way. He'll be an all-star next year.
I agree. He's on his way for sure. This Orlando team, and they can make a big trade too if they want to, because they got good young players that teams would covet. And
the only thing is, who really wants to go to Orlando though? Like that's the problem. Is like if you're trading for an unhappy superstar, and we don't even have to start naming names, but it's just like Orlando's never on anybody's list of teams.
They could do what Cleveland did. Like nobody wants to go to Cleveland, but they got Donovan Mitchell, and things are going well. You could change someone's.
I never understood why Orlando isn't a place that people want to go. Like,
I agree.
Orlando's a nice city. You got Disney World there. Like, it's in Florida.
Nice weather. It's Florida.
Taxes. Like, when you really think about it, like, I've always wondered, like, how come people don't want to go play in Orlando? Like, it's kind of the same thing I've always thought with Atlanta. Like, how come people aren't?
I say that with Dallas.
With Atlanta, like,
I say that with Dallas too.
Yeah, like, how come like that is considered a small market team when there's like people are. Yeah. I know the LA and New York, I understand that, but like, why isn't Orlando kind of up there? Like, you know, especially if I was a veteran and I got a family, like, man, living in Orlando, being around Disney, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just.
No, I get you. I get you 100%. I get that 100%. Yeah, I always wondered why, you know, and they've had big personnel. I mean, they had Shaq and they had
Dwight.
They had Dwight. They've, you know, Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady, and all that.
Is right there. Come on.
Disneyland's right there. Like you said, it's a very family.
Studios is right there.
When you say Orlando to any person in the United States, they're like, "Oh, Disneyland or Disney." What is it? Disneyland or World? World is in Cali.
It's Disney
World. So Disney, they say Disney, right? They're like, "Oh, it's Disney," you know, and you have, you know, that's backyard and all that. So I don't know why, but I think Orlando's in position where they're playing competitive basketball, but they're not good enough, and they could still be in the top 5 sweepstakes and potentially make a, you know, get a good player or potentially make a big deal. So
just asking one question, just because you're the draft guy, you're Orlando, you get the number 1 pick. You take Wemby or you take Scoot?
You take Wemby. You cannot pass up on Wemby.
Okay. Yeah, just is Wemby and Scoot Zion and Ja all over again?
I think that's a good comparison. That's a comparison I've made a lot, simply for financial reasons. Because
like you can't be the one to pass on Wemby.
Exactly. Like you couldn't, even though if you even thought Ja was better, and there's a lot of people I know that said, yeah, Ja's I think could be better long term, because there was always worries about Zion's health.
Yeah,
and there's worries about Wembanyama's health because he's so big, you know, and we haven't seen a player like that. So, but financially, you can't pass up on. You couldn't. New Orleans couldn't have passed up on Zion because how much money they made simply by getting number 1 pick and knowing they're taking Zion. Their season tickets were through the roof.
But does Chet Holmgren's injury not scare you about taking Wemby over Scoot? If you have, because like, let's be honest, Scoot would fit. Like, I think he would make the most sense for Orlando. I mean, if I can get Wemby, I'm getting. But I'm just saying, I think as far as fit wise, like they could use a Scoot. But at the same time, like you just can't pass because you have Paolo. I don't know if you need him, but you can't pass him. And it reminds me of the Zion Ja situation. Yeah. Like you might have thought Ja was better or Ja fit what you want it to do, but at the same time, like, you just can't go down historically 10, 15, 20 years from now and be the GM known as passing up on
Wembanyama.
Like
you can't, exactly. You just can't. It just can't do it.
He has to go number one, regardless of who it is. You figure out the fit later. You don't go as the person. Like, if you're Houston and you got the number one pick, you don't go down as the person that passed it on Wembanyama because we got Sengun and Jabari Smith and we didn't know how he
doesn't matter. No.
Like, no.
I wouldn't pass on him, but I would be scared about the injury potential. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, there's no concern, but I wouldn't pass on him. Just because.
I think Chet's injury kind of scares me on that. That'd be my concern. Like, yes, he's big and he can do it all, but like, you're also like, people were saying like Chet being too skinny shouldn't matter, but it mattered. Like,
no,
on the board. He's not even playing his rookie year, but it's like, bro, being that small, like, you're tall, you're a tall human being, but being that skinny, like, that's not durable. Like, essentially, you got to put a little bit.
Get it.
Like, you're playing against big boys. I'm not saying he could be a star. Like, everybody said that, Kevin Durant is the Slim Reaper, but even Kevin Durant got a little bit bigger than he did coming out.
Like, Kevin Durant obviously didn't stay as skinny as he was when he first got drafted. He definitely, he's, like you said, he's not some bulked up like machine, but he's also not like frail either.
He still had to put on some weight. He had to put on some muscle. So I think like Wemby will have to do that. But yeah, I didn't mean to go down the Wemby rabbit hole.
No, but it's a real thing, and like that's going to be a big thing because people are probably going to be concerned about long term with Victor Wembanyama.
But you still take him number one.
You still have to take him one. You just simply can't. Like, as a businessman, you can't. And that's how I think about it. As an owner of a team, even if everyone's telling me Scoot's going to be better in 10, Scoot's going to be Ja Morant. Let's say he's going to be Ja Morant. He's going to be an MVP candidate and all that. I can't do it financially, especially for Orlando. That kind of up and down with their tickets and the sales and all that, like their house, unless they're good, fans are coming. Even if we suck, we're going to sell out the house because now we got Paolo and we got Victor.
We turned into must-see TV. You turn your franchise.
You have to watch
100%. You get Wembanyama with Bankera in there and it's box office. Like,
you turned into must-see TV. You go from having 5 nationally televised games to 25 just
30.
Exactly. It doubles. And that's just more money in your pocket. And guess what owners want? They want more money in their pocket. So you can't pass up on them. I just
you'd have casual NBA fans saying like that they're in vacation, to go to Universal Studios saying like, oh, look, they have a 7'4" freak athlete, let's go see it. Let's go buy a ticket. Let's go see it. Like, I mean, what's the next time we're going to see something like that, Live.
You get to go to Disney and see Wemby. How can you not sell yourself?
That's what I'm saying. Even if you're on the Scoot bandwagon and you think he's going to be a better prospect, simply you cannot.
I think he's a better fit for Orlando. I think they could use his services, but like, I'm just saying, if they ended up with the number one pick, like, it would be one of those, like, we're taking the guy that we have to take. And maybe hindsight, you'll be like, dang, like, maybe New Orleans sometimes feels like they should have took Ja. But at the end of the day, like, I rather feel like I should have took Ja and still hope on Zion's health than be the one who, like, bro, you passed up on Zion and he became a superstar. Like, you can't take that chance because you could lose. Like, as a GM, you could lose your job. Like, you'll lose your job
and never get a job again. You might never get a job again.
Pass on Wemby and he turns out to be the superstar and you pass on him, you will be fired as the GM, no matter how good Scoot is. If Wemby goes on to be a superstar, you will get fired and nobody will ever covet you again. Like, you will never have job interviews. You will just be, bro, they'll do a 30 for 30 on.
Because if Victor Wembanyama becomes whatever if he's Kevin Durant with Hakeem Olajuwon defensive intangibles, you're gonna be like, oh my God, what did we do? And you don't want to be that guy. You just I can live with taking Victor Wembanyama, and if he's a bust, I'd be like, hey, everyone and their mama was taking him. So like you're not gonna get the hate or all that. You're gonna be like, well, you took a chance on a guy that literally everyone was saying was going to be the next Kevin Durant combined with LeBron, like the next crazy.
He has the whole world player in a chokehold right now. So you're not wrong for taking him at number one. Like, period. No matter what 10 years look from now, you have to take him at number one, and nobody will kill you for it. Like, if he becomes the biggest buzz, that's on him. That ain't the GM. Everybody
exactly.
That's on him. You're not going to kill the GM for it. That's a Wemby thing, and we'll hear about him on podcast, or who knows what we'll have 15 years from now. But yeah, like if he ends up Kwame Brown, so what? Like that's on him. That's
I think you could live with that and all that, but you have to take him. But the Victor Wembanyama thing is going to get very intense.
I see Wembanyama and Bobo sharing the court.
That's going to be interesting.
Here we go. Here goes the conversation. The Knicks.
The New York Knicks 108, the 76ers 97. The Knicks take care of business after a brutal loss at, freaking, speaking of the Frenchman, Nicholas Batum with that shot. That possession looked like it was going to go our way. Kawhi gets double team on the top of the 3-point line. I know Mo was loving now. Mo was going to be like, oh, the bum messed up again and all that. But he passes to Paul George. Paul George finds, Batum, and he hits a 3, and then we lose in overtime. But Knicks take care of business against, Embiid and company. Played great defense and all that. They just, they did what they had to do. Julius Randle played good basketball and all that. So it was a good win. Like I said, this Knicks team struggling at home, losing a lot of these close games and all that. And they were down by 21 points, come back for a good win at home, much needed home win. They're sitting at still the 7th seed right now, behind Mo's Miami Heat. So, just staying put. They're staying above floating.
Separated by one loss, I believe.
One loss, yeah.
Yeah, so, they're one game behind the Heat.
Yeah, so the half game behind Miami. Same wins. Miami has one less loss, so half game behind it. Then that's the race to get to that top 6 seed. So you're gonna have to be in that play. And so and Knicks beat the Miami Heat recently. So try to get back on track at home, but a good win versus 76ers. Are we buying with the Philly though? Or do you think they're as good as have they been, or is this a game where you're like, okay, there maybe we should, not buying so much on this Philly streak?
No, I think so. For me, I think we should. Like, the Knicks are a good team. Like, a good team got a good win. So I'm not concerned about the Sixers losing this game. Like, it can happen. And, because this was the primetime game on Sunday, like, people will blow it out of proportion, make it a bigger deal. Like, the 76ers lost to a good team. Like, and when a good team has a better day than you're going to lose on that day. This is a long season. But Joel Embiid still played like an MVP candidate at the end of the day. He had a really good game. Every night isn't going to be your night. So if I'm the 76ers, though, I'm not looking at this loss and walking away and like, oh, we need to be making moves before the deadline. I think they should consider making a move. Nothing major, though, like franchise changing, but at the same time, like a slight upgrade to be they're contenders in the East right now, but to kind of up the ante on being an even better team and kind of really being with that Milwaukee and Boston. But with me, I don't think this is like take a hard look in the mirror. Like, you lost to a good team. Like,
yep.
Like, I know there's a rivalry between like Philly and the Knicks, and I understand that. But if I'm a Philly fan,
New York, period. That's a rivalry.
And if I'm a Philly fan and I'm panicking over this, then I'd be like, slow down. Like, bro, you lost to a good team. Yeah. Like, this is a good team with good players. Like, okay, they're not a great team, but you're not going to win them all in the NBA either.
And you look sluggish too. Edgar, I know you watched the game. It just felt like Philly felt sluggish, and I think the Knicks just took advantage of that because
instances here and there for sure. I also think they might have underestimated the Knicks bench a little bit because prior games the Knicks bench hadn't really given you much of anything, to be honest. In the last, I'd say 3 games or so, maybe even 4.
Evan Fournier siding.
Yeah, the bench has
17 off the bench.
Evan Fournier had a quote-unquote one-night stand, as he called it.
No, it was very one night. He still had some Fournier players. You're like, oh my God, what are you doing? But like 17 points off the bench is 17 points off the bench.
Right. So to me personally, the biggest factor that turned the game around was the Knicks bench. I mean, the Knicks bench, they were down 21 in the first half. They made the starters were down 21 in the first half. The bench came in, they blew that. They made a comeback. Second half, a bit of the same situation. The lead wasn't as bad, but the Knicks bench just kept pushing and kept the Knicks afloat until the starters finally, figured things out and they took it to the Philly starters. And again, there's no shame in losing to the Knicks. Like, it's not like you're saying you lost to, the worst team in the league. That would have been a little bit concerning, I guess. But like Mo said, you lost to a team that's not bad. You have, Julius Randle, all-star. Jalen Brunson, who also could have been an all-star. So it's a good team. It's not a bad loss. It's not a panic-inducing loss. The Philly will be fine. I mean,
yeah.
If they want to upgrade, I do think they need to upgrade at PJ Tucker's spot. I know PJ Tucker had a double-digit game last night, but you're not really getting that from him that much this season. So
he annoys me.
Most nights, bro, he's out there for cardio, bro. Like,
exactly.
He argues everything, bro. Like, he argues everything. Like, bro, shut up.
But exactly, that's the point, though. If you can upgrade there even slightly, then that makes Philly even more dangerous.
Jay Crowder? Like a Jay Crowder upgrade?
Yeah, I mean, Jay Crowder. Why
I'd rather have Jay Crowder than I.
That'd be a perfect upgrade for them.
They could use some more bench depth because right now it's Maxey and like sometimes you get George Niang has a occasional good game, but like they could probably use some bench depth. But like a Jay Crowder,
I mean, Shake Milton, Tyrese Maxey, unbelievable. You don't even got to put him in there. But Shake Milton, George's Niang. What's this guy's name? Reed, Michael Reed, is it?
Paul Reed, yeah, Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, excuse me. Yeah, that bench doesn't exactly scream at you and say like, yeah, you know, they have a great bench. They can upgrade that, and if they can upgrade PJ Tucker's starting spot, then they'll be even more dangerous. Personally,
the one thing I would say about Philly though, like if I was a little bit concerned about this game, bro, you can't get outscored by 14 points in the fourth quarter. Like that is a problem. You can't give up a 20-something point. Like, what were they up by 21, I think? At
20.
Outscored by 14 points in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter. And the only reason I say that's glaring for Philly is because, like, where you walk away from that, you be like, typical Doc Rivers team. Like,
flat.
It is a typical Doc Rivers team. And so, in that moment, you're a little concerned. And if this game was played on Tuesday and you had to have NBA League Pass to watch it, I don't think I would care, but I kind of expect like players to get up and really play like on these primetime games. So like playing Sunday at 6:00 Eastern on national television, like it's two good teams playing. Like I expect this to be maximum effort. You know, if you put this on a Saturday afternoon and nobody's watching it, okay, I understand. But like when it is a national televised game and like you can't go out there and get outscored by 14 in the fourth quarter. And every time you make a run, you can't let Quentin Grimes hit a bucket. You can't let Evan Fournier hit a bucket. Like you were getting, it wasn't Julius Randle to take over.
Yeah, Randle and Brunson, like they had good games, but they didn't go off. None of those guys went off. Every
moment that you like, all right, we're starting to look like we're kind of taking this game back over. It was like Quentin Grimes with an easy bucket, Evan Fournier with a three, and it's like
Grimes had some.
Bro, he came. His shots.
McBride had some key threes in the
Deuce played really good, but my thing was with Grimes is like it seemed like he had more than 13 points, and you know why? Because every point he scored was important. Like it mattered. Like his buckets mattered. You know, sometimes you just go a little off and. You score in the middle of the second quarter and nobody really cares. It wasn't a pivotal moment in the game, but it was like 100%. Every time they needed a bucket, it seemed like Quentin Grimes was the guy who was scoring. And you're like, damn. And then you walk away and be like, he only had 13. Well, that's what happens when every bucket that you have was important. Like your buckets were remembered. So, I mean, it was a good team effort by the Knicks. Like, what?
Good one.
Double digits, you know, Deuce with double digits, Grimes double digits, Randle and Brunson played typical Randle, like a pretty good game for Randle, but just good game. Like there was a lot of contribution. And so it's not popular to say, but like, bro, the Knicks are kind of fun to watch this year. Like,
by the way, real quick. So Kyrie moved to the West. I believe there's a vacant all-star spot in the East. James Harden, Jalen Brunson. There's not, or there technically is.
I don't think
no.
Oh no,
he was voted as a starter, so I don't think they're gonna factor that with him moving to the West. It could, I don't know.
It's not East versus West, so like they're gonna do a draft anyway. So like it wouldn't matter.
Work though, if he was supposed to start for the East and now he's over there, there's technically not a spot open in the East then.
I don't think so. But at the same time, we don't see superstars who make all-star games get traded at the deadline. So right before that. So I don't know how this I don't know how it's going to work.
It happened with James, but James Harden wasn't when he went to Philly, but he wasn't a starter though. But
because if that's the case, then it's between Brunson and James Harden, two guys that got snubbed, right?
But I think because since it's a draft, I don't think they're going to change it because it's not going to matter East West at that point because you could have East and West on one team. So I don't think if it was the old format, it would probably change. If it was just straight East West. It would probably, because obviously Kyrie's gonna be in the Western Conference. So, so I think it doesn't matter because it's a draft anyway. So it doesn't matter if no one's gonna, Kyrie's gonna get drafted, wherever team, if LeBron's gonna have him, he's gonna take him anyway. So and it's not gonna matter. So it's not
I will say to answer your question, if that was the case, I'd give it to James Harden over Brunson.
Okay,
it's not. It's not. I think Brunson is an all-star. Like, I think if Brunson got it, I would not be upset. I wouldn't be like, one deserves it over the other. My edge would be Philly is the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Where my edge
2 all-stars for them.
I would say, like, how does the 2 seed not, when you have a borderline all-star in James Harden, how does the 2 seed not have 2, but the 7 seed? Like, it'd be just like if you tried to throw Jimmy Butler in that same conversation, I'd give James Harden a nod for they're the 2 seed. Like, the 6 and 7 seed shouldn't have 2 all-stars if one of the guys in the 2 seed is borderline. That's why I would give it to James Harden, is just because his team's better.
Yeah. Okay.
But Brunson, numbers-wise, is doing like he's an all-star, but if I'm giving the nod to one of those guys, I'm giving it James Harden just because.
I think the Knicks were the 2 seed, or
of course,
yeah. If were the 2 seed, Jalen Brunson. Like, I would say it'd be Jalen Brunson because his team's better. If they're both the case, like, to me. Take James Harden, take Jalen Brunson. I don't care, but because Philly's better, I would just give it.
Yeah, and
based on that,
I think we're so used to James Harden's. Like, we look at his numbers and like, oh, he's not the James Harden of old, and that could be the case. But if you just look at his numbers, he's still having like all-star numbers.
Oh, he averages a double-double.
He averages 22 and 10.
I was watching the game,
shooting a high clip at 3 still. So like, it's not Houston James Harden numbers, but He's asked for a different role. He's not asked to be that scoring threat. They have Embiid for that, and they have other guys who can score, so he doesn't have to be that. So they're asking him to be the point guard.
And he's healthy now.
Yeah. I was watching the game last night, and my fiance tells me, yo, this James Harden is really good. So, okay, she started watching basketball because of me. So she's been watching for like 4 years now. She kind of knows some guys, whatever, but not everything. So she's like, James Harden is really, really good, like, because he was playing well. And I told her, listen, you haven't seen anything. Like, you missed this guy. Like,
you missed prime Harden.
Like, you missed. And she was like, wait, he was even better than he is now? And I was like, yeah, I'll show you videos later. Like, this guy was insane. And she was like, wow, like, I really didn't see a lot of stuff.
He was backpacking the Houston Rockets.
No, remember that time? Then he had a 60-point game at the Garden. Then he had like 50 something. The night after, then 40 something. And the 2 nights later, like, dude,
James Harden gets disrespected.
He really does.
I hate to say it, he gets disrespected.
He really does. And I've definitely got on James Harden a few times, but like, now that sometimes you got to sit back and just have a retrospect on stuff and be like, that man was really good. And we harp on him so much for like playoff failures and all, but if we just look at the player itself, and then this is what a lot of people do. They wait till, they're retired or they're past they're towards the end to finally get appreciation. But we have to just look back and be like, we witnessed something special with that man. And it's not his fault that the Houston Rockets missed 29 straight threes against Golden State.
Well, it was partly his fault because he
partly,
missed,
but other guys were missing threes.
He missed about 8 of those threes.
He gets some blame for that, but like there's
also
others.
He ran it like at the end of the day. I know like he wasn't. Now, if he was only losing to Golden State every year, then it'd be like, man. But my thing is, it's not his fault that there was a juggernaut in the Western Conference. You really had no chance. Like, even when you had a chance and they coughed up that lead in Game 7 or whatever, like, you still really had no chance. You had a juggernaut in the Western Conference.
Yeah, so I think it's Kevin Durant and company.
Chris Paul injured his hamstring. I mean,
that's a big what if too.
But like, that was Harden's moment, though. That's where we get on Harden, because when Chris Paul hurt his hamstring and he went out, that was Harden's moment to close out the game, and instead he gave up a 12-point lead and lost. Like,
yeah,
he had his moment. He doesn't show up when you want him to in the moments. Like he'll have 30 in a playoff game, but like the last 3 or 4 minutes when he was expected to take over the game and get you the win, he doesn't do it. And so that's kind of been why we killed James Harden. But even still, I feel like he's hit a point, like he gets disrespected.
No, 100% does.
That's for another show. But yeah, James Harden is disrespected.
All right. Obviously, Kyrie is now no longer a member of the Brooklyn Nets. He is a member of the Dallas Mavericks now. So simple. Do we think Kyrie and Luka are going to work out in Dallas? Is that going to work?
I would say yes. I mean, every instance of these two type of players linking together has turned to working out. Dwayne Wade and LeBron, Kyrie and LeBron, James Harden and Chris Paul. Every time, like when a ball dominant guy and we're like, who wants to play with him? You know, who can fit with him? Like Kyrie could play off the ball. I think it'll make Luka a better player because I think Luka will be able to learn how to play off the ball. And that also makes it, I think, his longevity, because he's not going to be carrying the offense and carrying the load. He's got a guy who can score 30 along next to him on any given night. I don't see why, if it doesn't work, I blame Luka, not Kyrie. Because like Kyrie essentially as the basketball player is fit with everybody. You've never looked at Kyrie and be like, he doesn't fit. He doesn't fit. Harden and Kyrie, they fit together. Like it wasn't the play on the court. It was all the other distractions while Harden wanted out. So I would say Kyrie and Luka would definitely work. I would blame Luka if it didn't work. Now, if Kyrie started his antics and stuff, okay. But as far as on the court, if it doesn't work out, I don't think it's going to be Kyrie, because Kyrie has worked out with everybody he's played with. He's never been like he doesn't fit. So I would say it would. And it could at an elite level in a wide open Western Conference. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the scary thing is Dallas made a move, upgraded. We said they need to upgrade, and now the West is wide open, and you got to deal with Kyrie and Luka night in, night out. But good luck, because Dallas going to be winning games 130 to 125. Ain't stopping nobody.
Yeah, I don't think I'm concerned with Kyrie getting adjusted. I think I'm a little bit more concerned with Luka getting adjusted to Kyrie, just because Luka is so, I'd say, used to running such a heliocentric offense around him, and with Dallas, where like he has the ball most of the time, and he's the one creating for mostly everybody else. So I got to see just, okay, how willing. I mean, I don't think he'd be unwilling, but I just want to see how much he's gonna, how much it's going to take for him to adjust to operate without the ball so much. I think it's a valid concern, to be honest. I think Kyrie will be fine because he's done it and he showed us that he can play without the ball in his hands a lot, playing with KD and James Harden. But again, Luka is the big question to me. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think Luka would be like, I think he would do it though. Like, cause we had that same question when Chris Paul went to Houston. Is James Harden willing? We had the same question when Russell Westbrook and James Harden linked together. Like, is it going to fit? They both need the ball in their hands. And as far as a duo, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were pretty damn good together. And it worked. Like, okay, they didn't win the championship. I get that. But as far as a duo and together and coexisting, so that's why I say I will blame, like, it'd be on Luka to me if it doesn't work. If they don't mesh together fairly fast, it'd be on Luka and not, he was unwilling. But I think with Luka, he's one of those guys. He knows how good he is. He knows he's great. And so he's not conceding to anybody who's not close to his level. And I think he's going to look at Kyrie and be like, yeah, this dude on my level. I ain't giving up the duties to Spencer Dinwiddie, but you asked me to take a step back for Kyrie Irving, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, like I just look at it like that just because, you know, Kyrie, right? He's played with LeBron. He's played with Kevin Love. He's played with Kevin Durant. He's played with James Harden. Luka, who's he played with? Spencer Dinwiddie, Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood.
Brunson, yeah.
Jalen Brunson. I mean, and Jalen Brunson before Jalen Brunson is technically what he is right now, right? So, I mean, he's the one who has to see, oh, okay, like, yeah, Kyrie is the name, obviously. He's the guy, he's done it. He has a championship. But again, how much are you going to be able to adjust on the fly, like you say? It's on the fly. It's not like they've had an off season. It's not like they had half a season. It's on the fly. It's 40. What's left? 40 games left? 40-something games left?
Not even. I think everybody's played like 50. It's really like 30 games.
Not even. You have 40-something, 30-something, 40-odd games, whatever. And if you decide, and this is solely on them, if they communicate the All-Star break to, I guess, well, they're both going to be there, but like, I guess a little bit after, if you want to take maybe a day, 2 days or something right before everything starts up again to, you know, come together and discuss and go over certain things, then you have that. But you don't have much time. You gotta figure it out quick if you really want to win and make it work.
Yeah. And well, one thing about Kyrie is like he played with LeBron and he's used to having, you know, playing with LeBron, you're not gonna have the ball in your hands like you would, like he, you know, like he's had and playing with Kevin Durant too. So like I think if that one thing that was always gonna be tough, and we talked about this, was like who's the perfect star to play with Luka, because you know we know he needs someone else to help him, but it's not easy because a lot of his game is predicated on him having the ball in his hand, and you know he don't have the ball in his hand. How effective is he and all that? But Kyrie is someone who's been in that situation where he doesn't have the ball in his hand. He can do stuff without the ball. So I think if you know, obviously there's a lot more to Kyrie that comes with, you know, than just on the court, because on the court we know what he can do. And he's been healthy this year too, which is very key. So I think I think as far as on the court stuff, it's all the other stuff. I think being in New York kind of like made a lot of that other stuff bigger than what it really was. Obviously, there's some stuff where you're like, all right, that's, you know, you can't
control that,
condone that and control, but like the vaccine mandate and all that was a New York thing, like because you know if there was any other state, he's fine and all that. So that became a bigger deal than where he was. So I think I know people are tripping about Kyrie and thinking he's gonna wreck another team and all that, but I think he's gonna be fine. I think he's gonna be okay. He's just gonna play basketball and all that, and I think it's a better fit than people think. I think people just have this mindset that Kyrie needs the ball in his hand at all times to be effective, but we've seen him play with guys that need the ball in their hand too. So I think if there's a spot that's going to work, I think it's going to work out for Dallas. But it all comes down to Luke. Like Luka's been banged up, you know, so they need to get him healthy and all that, and that's a big thing too. But I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work. It helps Luke out because his use. I think he has the highest like usage percentage in the league by far. Like it's got to be. It legit feels like he has every play that they have he has the ball in his hand at least a couple times in possession.
Yeah, he's the white James Harden.
Yeah, he essentially is. It really is. He's a righty white version of James Harden. You know, it really is. And I think, you know, Kyrie's used to that. He's done that before. So I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work, and it's a move that Dallas needed to make too. I think it's and we had talked about that in previous shows. Like Dallas needs to make a move like this, and they did it, and it happened relatively quick.
What does this make Dallas though? Like now, we're gonna wait and see. Like, okay, once they start clicking, you know, after probably 5 to 10 games or whatever, probably post All-Star break is when we'll have those questions about Dallas. But like, what is the expectation? Like, you went to the Western Conference Finals last year, you lost to Golden State. Adding Kyrie Irving, like, are you like, are they real contenders? Like, because we didn't look at them as contenders prior to this Kyrie Irving trade. Like, we knew they needed to make some moves, and we were like, yeah, Luka could carry him, but he's only going to carry him. But so far, even in a wide open West, we're still not taking Luka and Dallas. We've seen this before with James Harden, but now that they have Kyrie, like, is the expectation, like, should they, like, is it realistic to put the expectation that they should win the West now? Prior to any other moves being made, because everybody's going to start making moves over the next 3 to 4 days. But as it stands right now, looking at their roster, like, is it unfair to say, like, Dallas should be looking at going to the finals?
I think it's a little unfair just because you got to look at the rest of the roster. I mean, are you really trusting Tim Hardaway Jr. that much? Dwight Powell, Christian Wood?
But that roster went to the Western Conference Finals.
They did. That's what makes it tough. But like, you got to wonder, what's that like a mirage? Like some of these guys.
That's the thing too. Like we've seen this before. Like we saw the Trailblazers do this, you know, a few years back. We've seen like teams make that because, you know, they beat you know, they beat a good team in the second round and all that. And so then we saw that when they beat the Phoenix, you know, last year and all that. So, but as open as the West is, I mean, there are only 2 games out of the 3rd seed, which is held by Sacramento right now. So like, you know, we see, like we mentioned, it's runs. We've seen teams go streaking and all that. Like they're a streak away from being a top 3 seed. And
we also haven't seen the difference with every team who made that like it's an anomaly, it's not going to happen again. We also haven't seen them turn around and add a superstar level player like Kyrie. Like Portland went to the Western Conference Finals and then basically ran it back with the same team and came back down to reality. Where that's kind of where it looked like Dallas was trending to. Like, okay, they made the Western Conference Finals. It looked like it was going to be an anomaly. And then, boom, like they got Kyrie Irving. So now, like, Dallas is better. And I know they're talking about making some other moves. The only thing is they're the first team to make a power move right now. And now we're just waiting over the next, like, I think this Kyrie Irving to Dallas impacted the rest of the NBA as far as how they're looking at making these trades now over these next couple of days. Like, it just spiced up the trade deadline for real because now teams are like, yeah, we definitely need to upgrade. We're going to make these moves. And we know the trade deadline is the one sport. The NBA trade deadline is the one sport where you like, it's actually exciting. There's going to be some things that alter the projection of teams, and we're seeing it with Kyrie right now.
Like on paper, if you look at it, they did get better, right? Kyrie Irving is better than Jalen Brunson from last season, right? Obviously. But I don't know. Like sometimes even like the smallest little things just matter. Like even like I know people are going to say like, well, it was just Dorian Finney-Smith and it was just like
that's a loss. That's definitely perimeter defense.
In the grand context of it, like if you bring it up, some people might just say, they don't matter, it's whatever. But who knows? To that team that made made the Western Conference Finals last season, Dorian Finney-Smith was huge to them, right? So who knows even in the slightest, maybe that affects them a little bit. Who knows? The loss of Spencer Dinwiddie, who knows? Like you just never know. Sometimes those little tiny parts and little tiny role players play a huge role into what your team is, and who knows if that affects them. I mean, I get it. They added Kyrie. Kyrie is the ultimate.
They're gonna make another move.
I think so. I think so too.
If they make another move, okay, that's different. And
they're gonna go all in on the next 3 months. Like Kyrie didn't commit for the next 4 years. He hasn't, agreed to an extension or whatever, so he could walk. So Dallas is about to commit to the next 3-4 months to try and win a championship. And basically, what they're going to try and do is build a team around Luka and Kyrie and convince Kyrie to stay. Like they're going to give Kyrie every reason on why you should stay. So I think they're going to make some other trade or something. They're sitting there on the horizon trying to make another move. I know it's tough after trading for a star, but they're going to look for that minor upgrade or two over these next 3 days.
Some people think they're going to give up Christian Wood. I mean,
probably they should.
Yeah.
But who really wants him? That's going to give you something.
He's one of those players that
they were trying to
stat sheet and all that. You see production, but then it's like, where does he fit on our team? Like,
they were trying to trade Reggie Bullock a few weeks ago. I don't know if they're still trying to trade him now because they might need some shooting, but who knows? Maybe
they need a wing guy, and that's why you hear
Cam Reddish.
I'm taking chances on Cam Reddish, but they're probably you hear them with Matisse Thybulle from Sixers because he's up and down on their team too. Because
score though, like he's just a defender. You can't score
but on this team, that's all you need.
Yeah, you don't. You're not really looking for a score.
You're not looking for a score on this team.
40 point a night.
Yeah, exactly. So he might be perfect because we don't need you to score, Matisse. We just need you to defend,
play defense,
and play defense because we got two guys that could drop, combined 60 points, 70 points.
Let me ask you this then. So let me ask you this. I'm sure we were probably about to get to it. Should Brooklyn just blow it up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Should they trade KD, see what they could get, and kind of start over and rebuild?
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you already have maybe two semi-pieces there. I mean, you have Nick Claxton, who's been playing great this season. You have Cam Thomas, who's a bucket, basically. Get rid of KD, get everything that you can for him, and just, I guess, test those two guys out and move forward. That's it.
Yeah, but you know what sucks is you got Ben Simmons, and
he has no trade value apparently.
Nobody, because he would if Ben Simmons, and it's all about money. If Ben Simmons was making $10-12 million a year, you would take a chance on trading for that.
You're not even getting a $10 million player right now.
No, but if he was getting paid $10 to $12 million, you would.
I get it. No,
but I mean, he's getting paid what, $30 million a year?
He's getting paid max money.
Contract for what, the next 2 to 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, I'm not taking on that. Like, you've shown me nothing since you've allegedly hurt your back. You've literally shown me nothing, not even flashes. And it's crazy because people want to like Ben Simmons. They really do.
They really do.
People are trying to like Ben Simmons, and he is making it hard on himself. So I remember a few weeks ago, bro, he had 9 points, but he had 12 assists, 11 rebounds. And it was like, bro, he could contribute. Like, that's you wanting to like him. And then you just watch him and you're like, yeah, bro, he sucks because he's getting paid $30 million a year. I'm not doing this. Like,
once that pay goes up, it changes perspective on players. And that's happened to him. And the play is just not there. And if I just think for Brooklyn, they tried. Listen, I will not bash Brooklyn for going after Kevin Durant and Kyrie, because I think a lot of teams would have done the same thing.
I mean, the Knicks tried to do the same.
Knicks tried to do it, and if it wasn't for Kyrie not wanting to go there, that they're in New York instead of Brooklyn.
Every team would go for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. All 30 teams were in on that.
100%.
Who had a chance is a different conversation, but all 30 teams were like, if this is possible, and we're at least going to try. So, it might have been a failed experiment, but it ain't Brooklyn fault that, bro, you went and got Kyrie and KD. You did what you're supposed to do as a franchise. If it didn't work out, that's on them. But what was I supposed to should I have? You don't regret getting Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. I'm sorry. You just don't.
I think the only thing that I give Brooklyn and that I will discredit Brooklyn for is how they handled the whole situation, because
they handled it wrong. Sure.
They handled it poorly because they should have controlled the situation. Yes, now you have KD and Kyrie. Now you have to control the situation. You just can't give them all free reign. And that's the difference between good organizations and bad. That's like, if this was Miami, there's no way Pat Riley and company and ownership would allow this to happen. And we still saw that, right? With Miami. You saw that with LeBron. They're like, LeBron wanted to start control thing. He wanted Pat Riley. They're like, no, this is how we're doing things. And I think Brooklyn just let them control too much. And I'm all for player empowerment and all that, and having say, but they gave them way too much say. And then when they allowed them to get control of the franchise, things spiraled out of control. Now, there's also things that you can't control. New York having a vaccine mandate.
Nobody first.
That wasn't in the story of the NBA. That wasn't what's supposed to happen. This was they can't control. That's nothing that Brooklyn could have handled. Because if that doesn't happen, if we don't have that, Harden stays, because why Harden left is Kyrie up and down. What's going on here and all that. It's and then Kevin Durant gets hurt. It's just I'm not just doing this by myself. I'm gonna go. I do want out. Now he handled that poorly, I think too. Harden, but the mandate is something you can't control. That just wasn't, that wasn't in the cards and all that. So there's things that they couldn't control, but for the most part, there's certain things as far as the coaching, Steve Nash and all that, they could have handled that better. But but like I mentioned, we see there, does KD deserve blame?
Yes.
I think he deserves some blame because this is what he wanted. Right now, there's also, you can say, well, he didn't expect this to happen. And I can understand that. Yes, this is what you wanted. Doesn't mean you thought this out. All this was going to happen. You probably thought this was going to work because I'm here, Kai, we're going to be good. But everything else, I didn't expect all the other things to come.
Yeah, you didn't know
how KD is.
It was going to happen though at the end of the
COVID, like I mentioned, the biggest thing is COVID happening changed a lot. So that changes a lot, and like I said, the mandate, which was a crazy mandate, but whatever, that's for a whole nother thing. We didn't expect that, but that was his stance and all, and that definitely hurt them big time, especially last year. But I think KD does deserve some blame, and I've said this with KD, he's a legacy player. I think at the end of the day, nobody's really Kyrie. Eventually, people are going to think about what he is, but it's not really going to matter. Kevin Durant we're talking about Kevin Durant. He's up there potentially being one of the greatest players of all time. A potential Mount Rushmore type player, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe the greatest small forward, one of the greatest forwards we've ever seen, greatest 7-footer, whatever. He's a legacy player. So if I'm a legacy player like that, you need to control some stuff that happening. You need to be yo, Kai, I came here because you wanted to be. Because listen, Edgar, I 1,000,000% believe Kevin Durant wanted to be a Knick.
I think so.
But he wasn't coming to the Knicks alone.
No.
But Kyrie wants to go to Brooklyn, and then KD settled like, okay, the Knicks, there's maybe a little too much, going on. I'll go to New York. I'm just not going to go play for the New York Knicks.
Yeah,
I mean,
there were
Brooklyn.
factors that played.
Kai wants to go there, and I'll be cool living in Brooklyn and all that. So I just think he needs to control more. That's always been my thing with KD. Control that stuff, because the thing is always going to be, well, he left for Warrior, and now he left. Now the thing is, he left the greatest team of all time to go to Brooklyn, and look what's happening. 4 years later, nothing's happened, and the Warriors won a championship without it. That's always going to be, regardless of whether it's fair or not, that's going to be the narrative on it. And people are like, well, you joined this great team, won a championship, then you leave them for Kyrie, and look what's happened. You got one playoff series win, and the Warriors got a world championship without you. Like,
but where I blame Kevin Durant is his mentality. And
yeah, I agree.
The whole, like, I just want to hoop. But you can't be that great of a player and all you want to do is just hoop. Like,
there's more to it. It's more to
always it. Be like, you are the guy who pretty much, whatever team you're on, you're the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Who's the what is the response?
Even on the Warriors, I think he was better than
Steph. Yes, but that was Steph's team, and he did have Steph as a leader, so he could just come in there and hoop.
Exactly.
When you're what is the responsibility of the best player on any team? What is to be a leader? Like, you have to be able to lead. You have to be able to manage this stuff. Like, once you become the best player on the team and one of the greatest players we've ever seen, politics come into it. Look at how LeBron your handling of the media comes into it. Look how LeBron does it. Look how even when Russell Westbrook was leading OKC and getting tripled up, it was like he was the villain, and it was like, we don't know how great of a leader he is. But look how Steph does it. Look how Giannis does it. Like, you can either be a media darling but there's still a type of leadership that's expected. So when you're that great as Kevin Durant is, you can't I just want to hoop. Like, more comes with that, with being that great. Like, it is no.
I'm sure LeBron James just wants to hoop, but guess what? There's more to it than that.
He has more responsibilities of being a leader. I mean, just think about. Imagine if Jordan and Kobe and Olajuwon and Shaq was just like, yeah, I just want to hoop. Like, that's it. Like, are they as successful as they could have been? Like, does Jordan? We've heard the stories. He might not have been a great leader, but he had his way of leading. It was his way or the highway, and it led to 6 championships. Kobe might not have been considered the greatest leader, but he led by example. Like, you gonna see me work. I ain't got
mentality. Yeah, it's a mentality, Mamba mentality.
You're not, but like, his leadership was by actions as opposed to verbal communication. But at the same time, it was his way or the highway, and he'll tell you about himself, and it led to championships. Where like with Kevin Durant, it was like his way of leading. When he went to Golden State, that was cool. All he had to do was just hoop. Let Steph be the face of the franchise. Let Steph take care of all the media stuff and this and that. But when you're that guy that he is, just wanting to hoop, that's not what comes with your responsibility, bro. You're responsible for a lot more than just hooping. And so for you to let it get out of control like this, like, and if Kyrie's your boy, like, I'm sure there were conversations. I'm sure they had plenty of conversations, but
I think so, yeah.
They're also probably not as close as we think. I mean, for KD to be surprised that Kyrie asked for a trade.
Yeah, that was surprising that I saw that. Like I said, maybe they weren't as close. Maybe it was just simple as like with Kevin Durant, it's like, I'm not going anywhere by myself. And I think Kevin Durant knows his legacy stuff. That's why he left the Warriors.
He had to go prove it. And
And he thought Kyrie is, what he did with LeBron and all that. Like, he thought maybe with him and it together, but like, I think he just misinterpreted everything.
Him being that, like, yeah, I'm sure they're cool and friends off the court, but what I'm saying is, I even, like, after hearing that KD was shocked that Kyrie asked, like, typically, bro, like, Kyrie would have talked to KD and let him know, like, I'm gonna do this. Like, hey, if you really that close, it's like, hey, I don't want to catch you by surprise, bro. I'm asking for a trade, and like, Kevin Durant ain't gonna announce it or nothing, but when asked about it, like, yeah, I knew this was coming. We had a conversation prior to it. So it was very telling to me about their relationship with KD being surprised. Like, he didn't know it was coming. He woke up and thought everything was good, and next thing you know, like, he's finding out that Kyrie asked for a trade. Like,
yeah, it's gonna go down as one of the biggest, like, failures in NBA history, that sports history, because the talent. I mean, they had James Harden there too, so it's just it didn't work. It's just sometimes it's just simple. They tried it, it didn't work. They got to go back to how they were before they made for Brooklyn, before when they had D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen and all those guys, Joe Harris, before he got paid.
And we know they know how to build a team. At the end of the day, we know they know how to build a team because they did it. So it's not like Joe Tsai's a bad owner. It's not like Marks is a bad G. Like, they've built a good team in the playoffs. Like, they weren't a championship team, but they rebuilt the team until okay, we could get to the playoffs. So I don't question their GMing skills as far as rebuilding, but I say get rid of Kevin Durant.
So the thing is, they can build a team. They can build a team, but the thing is, can they manage the superstars? That's the thing.
They probably can't. They probably weren't ready for that.
Yeah, but they were a lot better off when they didn't have any superstars.
Yeah. They couldn't manage it. Yeah.
Realize the problem. You can build the team. You can bring the superstars here. You can get the blue collar guys here. But can you manage the
or can they just? It was just Kyrie. I don't think it was a Kyrie issue.
Kyrie is a different type of manager.
Yeah. I don't want to say egos because it's a big word, but like the personalities. Can you manage
there's egos there? There's definitely egos there.
Together.
But managing, there's only one man who's walked this earth that has been able to manage Kyrie Irving, bro. Like that, managing Kyrie is a different. Like
he's a different cat.
You tell me getting like Jason Tatum. Like I don't have to manage Jason Tatum. Where
when I say personality,
manage.
Oh, when I say personalities, I'm not only talking about Kyrie. I'm talking about KD as well. James Harden when he was here. Like all these guys, they had their personalities. Like
it all does boil to Kyrie though. Like and
Harden had to do with Kyrie. Harden leaving had everything to do with Kyrie.
So like it all like I don't think like it's when you talk about managing stars. Like I think this might shy people away from joining Brooklyn in the next couple of years, but at the same time, like, bro, you grab one of them, like a different type of cat. Like you grab Kyrie and he's going to do things his way. And I love the way Kyrie go about his business, but that don't mean it's easy to manage. Like that don't mean it's not really, who's really built for that? That's why we thought Kyrie, when he asked for a trade, was going to go to the Lakers because we're like, bro, who really can manage Kyrie Irving outside of LeBron James? Who can make all that stuff blow away outside of LeBron James? Because everywhere Kyrie's been, nobody's been able to manage it. It blew up in Boston. It blew up in Brooklyn. And now we're hoping that it doesn't blow up in Dallas, but he seems to be, I don't want to say a problem because I don't think he's a problem. The issue is always involving him. And whether he means to or not is not, that's a conversation for another day, but the media blows it up. He's became like this real villain of like anything Kyrie does or says, like we're going to kill him for it. And the national media they're going to get on TV and have an hour segment of just killing Kyrie. They make it a bigger deal when Kyrie does something. Nobody cared that Shaq showed the documentary in his theater and took a picture in front of the poster at the movie theater. Nobody cared. Yeah, he did. But because Kyrie Irving did it, like, now blow this up. This, that, and the other. And the thing was, Kyrie Irving had that out for a couple days. And then when Joe Tsai made a big deal about it is when it blew up and everybody made a big deal about that. But it just does seem like whether it's Kyrie's fault or not, it just seems like anything he does becomes a distraction. And that's not easy to manage. I don't care who you are. And when you're Kevin Durant and all I want to do is hoop, being in Brooklyn has been everything but that. And think about it. When they were hooping earlier in the year, when Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they went on that winning streak and they were like second in the Eastern Conference, nobody was even talking about them. You didn't even realize how good Brooklyn really was.
Yeah, you had to be like, hold up. They're in the 4th seed? Oh.
Yeah, you didn't realize how good they were actually playing. They went on like a 7-game win streak. They were hooping. KD and Kyrie numbers was crazy. But because that's all they were doing,
a 7-game, they was even a 10-game win streak, I believe.
I know it was something like that.
They were streaking. They were another team streaking. They were playing good ball, and like you said,
but you weren't talking about them because there was no drama there. Like
I just think people. I also think this has a big thing to do with media.
Fellas, great show, but I got to bounce to work. Yeah. All right, let you guys off, but I got to go. All right.
Appreciate you coming on, Edgar. Appreciate you, bro.
Take care, guys.
But and this will be the final topic on all that. But I also feel like a lot of people who can't stand Kyrie and all that, they base a lot of their hate off media. And how many of those same people are the same people yelling at the media? Oh, you can't believe everything you hear on the media, right? Same people that that can't stand Kyrie or can't do this. But and I think that's the media and then the coverage of Kyrie has definitely led to people hating Kyrie more than they should. Because a lot of the stuff is like, okay, I get, the picture of the book and all that stuff and all that, but what always gets lost with Kyrie is the good stuff and all that. And a lot of people are like, well, he doesn't like basketball. I heard he hates basketball and all that. He just likes the money. I was like, that's a bunch of shit. That's a bunch of BS. So crazy. That man loves ball. Now, he may not like the way the NBA is structured. Now,
I don't think he likes to be I don't think he likes being a celebrity. Like low key, I think he loves
the politics in basketball. Because there's a lot of players, and we know this, Mo. How many guys that were like, why isn't this guy in the NBA? Like a Michael Beasley. Mm-hmm. Guys like that, you're like, Michael Beasley could give most people in the NBA 20 on their head right now. Mm-hmm. Like Michael Beasley is an NBA player. But it's like what hurts Michael Beasley and guys like that is the politics of basketball. I agree that Kyrie does not like the and maybe Kevin Durant also, because you could put this. Mm-hmm. They don't like how the NBA goes about things, the structure of it, and all that. And I think that's a whole different thing than not liking basketball. Kyrie Irving, to be as good as Kyrie Irving, you have to like this game of basketball.
You don't.
You're not accidentally one of the greatest, to me, the greatest ball handler of all time. The what he can do with the basketball, the way he can score for a guy who's not an overly, not like a John Morant type athlete. Like he's athletic, but it's a different type of athleticism he is. You can't do what Kyrie Irving does and not love ball. So that's the biggest myth in the world. So whoever says that, you simply just are going with the bandwagon that you just don't like Kyrie for whatever reason. Like he loves basketball.
So my question with Kyrie is, should Kyrie have been a person that let us in, like in his personal life a little more? Like, and I'm not saying guys have to, but what I'm saying is with like LeBron or even like with Kevin Durant, like a lot of people hate Kevin Durant because you just know Kevin Durant, the hooper, but you don't really see inside his personal life. And I'm not saying I don't care, but what I'm saying is
casual person.
You don't know who Kevin Durant.
Like we know a lot about LeBron James. We know about his kids. We know he's married. We know about a lot, his whole story. For Kevin Durant, like guys like that, we don't really know a lot about Kevin Durant. We don't know his personal life that much.
You don't really know who he's dating. And I'm not saying that we care, but at the same time, like, okay, you make yourself personable. Like, you're more than just people are more than just a fan of LeBron, the basketball player. People are a fan of LeBron, the person. Kobe Bryant fans, like, they were more than just a fan of Kobe, the basketball player. Mm-hmm. They loved Kobe, the person.
Yeah, even Kobe we knew about. We knew about Kobe.
Yeah, and so it's one of those, to me, like,
that could be it.
Benefits from not making himself personable, and that's not his fault. That's not what he wanted to do. But I think when you play in the NBA and you're as great as he is, and Kevin Durant same way, you're not just a basketball player.
You more than a brand. Yeah,
like you're more like LeBron, but embrace. You're a celebrity. Like you're in. People care.
A-lister.
Yeah, like so you're one of those, like you're more than just an athlete to us. People care. People follow you on social media. They want to see inside the life of.
Do you think more players need to embrace that though? Do you think that, like, as much as players don't want to like show more about their personal life and all that, but when you're such a high profile person, and like you just mentioned, a lot of people vilify Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Do you think more athletes of that caliber need to be like, okay, like LeBron James, like, hey, let me show you a little bit about who I am. So, like, you don't just go by what the media is saying. Let me control the narrative, essentially. So, I think that I do, because we know that we know that NBA players love Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't hear NBA players like trashing Kyrie. It's kind of just like media driven and all that. So we know that. And we know what Kyrie does. We read about what he does, and I've heard, living close to Jersey and all that, and I know a lot what he does for what he does for basketball in Jersey and all that, and what he's done for people, in the community and all that. We know that, but that doesn't get brought up enough. It just, about tweets and him saging courts and all that. So do you think guys like that need to control their narrative so that's not, or do they just doesn't matter to them?
if it doesn't matter to them, like, here's my thing. I ain't gonna tell nobody like how they're living if they should live different. But yes, I do think like you should be a type of person where I'm gonna control my own narrative. And I know Kyrie don't care. Like, he really don't. Y'all gonna say what y'all gonna say about him, and he understands that. But at the same time, like, yeah, like I said, had he made himself more personable, and casual fans actually got to love not just Kyrie the basketball player, but Kyrie the person.
100%.
I think, and it seemed like he was going to start doing it, like when he made the movie Uncle Drew, and like, okay,
yeah,
like,
and a lot of people like that movie. Like, that was
become a celebrity. Like, you know, he's finally hit that celebrity status. He dropped the movie and this and that. So I just think, like, I'm not saying we got to know everything about all your kids and this and that, but it's just like when you make yourself more personable, it makes some of the negative things a lot easier. Like, how much negative media, like, no non-basketball related stuff comes LeBron's way. No, early on in his career it did with Kobe, but obviously with the situation. But after that, like in his prime and stuff, like nothing negative basketball, unless it was basketball conversation. But everything else was great. It was great because they embraced the celebrity. They made their appearances on Saturday Night Live, and they let people in, and you got to see his kids and his wife and all those celebratory moments where, like, with Kyrie, it's just like, you know, Kyrie the Hooper, that's it. Like, and when it seemed like he was going to go the route of embracing the celebrity, it seemed like, I guess, like after dropping Uncle Drew, he never fully committed. So I do think guys need to make themselves more personable.
I think he could have been a real big star. I think he could have been a real big star, like off the court.
He was.
Like, I mean, he had a shoe. He had a shoe, and I love his sneaker. I love wearing it to hoop and all that, and even like just the look. I think it was maybe, to me, in my opinion, I think it was the best Nike shoe, and all that. But I think he had all the tools to be a very likable figure. But you know, he's just a different cat. He's just a different cat, and I think, you know, I just think more people need to just embrace it and whatever. This is who he is and all that. But we know he could do on the court, and he's a bucket. And I think him and Luka, you know, will work out. And I think with Brooklyn, going to be interesting to see what they do. You know, we don't know. We could get off their show and like what happens, and we hear Woj and Shans be like, KD wants out, and that we still have 3 more days until the deadline's Thursday. You know, that's a lot can happen in these few days and all that. I don't think he'll axe out Kevin Durant. I think he'll, you know, rock it out, even though I feel like he probably should just be like, hey, let's try to figure out something quick. But, you know, his trade is maybe a little bit more complex than a Kyrie trade because there's probably more assets involved and all that. But it's going to be interesting to see. And
the next 3 days is going to be exciting.
It's really going to be.
It's going to be a lot of projections and buzz, but it's going to be exciting.
Because I know Boston just posted this like Jalen, and it seems like the illness non-COVID thing is like the new, like, oh, they're getting traded. And like Jaylen Brown, I just saw a Boston fan post. Jaylen Brown is questionable to illness non-COVID related, and then people are like, "Oh my god!" And it's so now the little things. This is why I love like the NBA, because like little things like that, like for most people they wouldn't understand it, but like people are like, "Wait, hold up."
Over the next 3 days, the NBA trade deadline, and I'll say for the sports I follow. I don't know how big it is in baseball or hockey or whatever, but like the NBA trade deadline has the most parity because like season altering moves happen. Like teams sell and they gift, you know, championship contenders, good players. Teams buy, you know, Dallas gets Kyrie Irving. Like that already altered the league just like that.
Yeah, and that's a power move.
Small upgrades, but like a lot of the names are well-known names that we're hearing could be traded. So like the trade deadline is one of those like, bro, on Thursday, like whatever pops off between now and Thursday, but that last hour of crunch time, you're on your phone just waiting. Like, okay, they're talking about this. This is about to go through. Like, thumbs finna be hurting over the next few days.
Oh, I think a lot of people just have them on like notifications. Like,
yeah,
they have the bell. I got the note. I think people. That's the only people I'm following because you want to know what's gonna happen, and it makes it good for good content. It makes for good drama. And the NBA loves drama. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few days with Kevin Durant and all that. But that's going to end the show today. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate Edgar coming on. It's going to be a very exciting few days in the NBA. We're going to see what happens with Kevin Durant. Does he go? Does he stay? Like I say, Kyrie, I don't think we've seen a player of Kevin Durant's, you know, stature get traded I could be wrong. I don't remember a player of this magnitude getting traded at the deadline. He would probably be the best player ever to get traded at the deadline. I could be wrong. I can't think. Just off the top of my head, I remember a player of this caliber getting traded.
Anthony Davis was traded at the trade deadline.
No, it was an off-season move.
It was an off-season? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was an off-season move. But even that, like, he's not Kevin Durant. Like, Kevin Durant getting traded off-season. But if you want to make a power move, hey, if you think
top 5 players be taught in trade deadline.
Yeah, no, we don't ever see that. Usually it's usually like an off-season thing or they leave free agency. But this could change the landscape of the NBA if a Kevin Durant move.
Trade Kevin Durant. I just want to have something to talk about.
Yeah, and if he gets traded, if something happens, we're gonna go live and talk about that because it's a move that could potentially change.
It'll be one of the biggest trades ever. As far as I don't care about the capital or whatever it'll cost to get Kevin Durant, but the moment of Kevin Durant getting traded will be considered one of the biggest trades ever. Probably the biggest trade ever.
And
top 5 players don't get traded.
And I know, like, as far as capital and all that, players could be difficult, but like, you have him on the contract for 3 more years, so like, it's not like it's like Kyrie's situation where he's a free agent, impending free agent. Oh, you got him on the books for 3 years, so like,
all in on trade. Like I feel like everybody's calling, and we saw everybody was calling about Kevin Durant. So the thing is, as a team, Kevin Durant ain't got a no trade clause, and he got 3 years left on his contract.
I'm saying, I think they should get done. I think it's actually feasible that it could get done in
and if I want KD, I don't care if he wants to be here or not. Guess what? I'm trading for you. You either gonna play ball or you gonna retire.
Hey,
you can come back at 38 when your contract over.
Talking to you, Sacramento. Go make that move,
man.
KD go make that move. Or if you're the Warriors,
like, that'd be the biggest star they've ever had, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest star they've ever had was Chris Webber. Probably,
yeah.
Right?
So, and Kevin Durant is bigger star than Chris Webber.
And you put Chris Webber, De'Aaron Fox, and Sabonis together, and they're ready to 3 seed.
Yeah, you add Kevin Durant. I don't think Sacramento has. We'll get into that later, but I just don't think they have pieces to get a Kevin Durant though.
I think they do. I think if you're Brooklyn, you can get Keegan Murray. All right, he's a young piece that you could build around. Like, if you're gonna blow it up, like, you might as well try to get a piece that you can build around. Keegan Murray has had flashes this year, and that's a good piece to build around. And
I'm giving up Kevin freaking Durant. Like, I'm looking at Boston. Like, I want Jaylen Brown. I'm looking at Miami.
Jaylen Brown, I think, is a free agent this offseason, so you could risk losing him.
You could, but I mean,
I'd rather have a guy who can control at least. At least Keegan Murray, you have him under control.
That, I'm sure with doing that, there's going to be like that verbal commit. I don't think you're going to take the chance you're not giving Kevin Durant on a what if. So if they did trade for Jaylen Brown, like, they're going to give him the bag, and he's going to, like, Boston, we're going to know that he's staying there.
If you're Boston, listen, I know we've talked about that, and I know we're supposed to close the show, but I want to talk about Boston quick. If you're Boston, you add Kevin Durant with Jason Tatum, especially with the way Milwaukee's playing with Chris Middleton back, because I think Milwaukee's better right now than Boston. You make this move, and like, we've seen Jaylen. Like, I know Jaylen Brown's a really good player, but I think there's a reason why we kind of hear them in trade rumors and all that. Like, they may feel some way. So,
but you only hear about him in trade rumors with superstars, though. Like, that is something I want to put.
I 100% agree. I 100%
ain't talking about trading him for DeJounte Murray or something. Like, Kevin Durant talks.
That's what I'm saying. But still, like, they're still thinking like, Jaylen Brown's good. He helped us get into a finals, right? But
he ain't Kevin Durant.
But he ain't Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is maybe the difference between us getting to a finals
and winning,
and us winning a finals. If we have Kevin Durant last year, we might be holding up a banner this year.
Yeah, and me, I love Jaylen Brown. So, like, it is one of those. He does tend to be in the rumors. Because like, you're not, Jason Tatum is your franchise player, and as good as Jaylen Brown is, he's the one piece that if you're trying to trade for something, that they're going to want Jaylen Brown. So it's like, that's the piece that we have floating here that has a lot of value and could possibly, like, there's teams out there who think like, okay, I could add Jaylen Brown, like, but he's never in talks where it's like, oh yeah, they're talking about getting like a Tyrese Maxey or Jordan Poole. Like, no, it's he ain't for the big fish.
You're getting a big
Kevin
name.
Durant that we're talking about. So,
and there's also Phoenix too. If you're Phoenix too, like you try to, try to max out on whatever you have left of that championship window. I know we don't want to see him in Phoenix per se, but like I don't want to see him in Boston either because I can't stand Boston either. But
I don't like Boston, but I'm just thinking one that makes the most sense.
I want to see him in Sacramento so bad. I'm gonna put that in the air. I'm putting that to the NBA gods. I'm putting it in the air because I don't see anyone saying that. I'm putting it in the air. I want him in Sacramento because at least I could root for it. I ain't rooting for him if he's in Phoenix because I don't know. We anti Phoenix here, but or Boston, but like. If I'm Boston, you go do that. Hey, Jaylen Brown. And if you're Brooklyn, it also depends what Brooklyn wants too. Because if they want to blow it up completely and just get a fresh start, maybe they talk to Sacramento, one of these teams that have like a young star potentially. Well, but if you want to be competitive still, you have Jaylen Brown, Cam Thomas. You have pieces that you could still be maybe like a bottom tier playoff team if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, I'm about to piss you off. Why don't the Knicks just call?
You know what?
We're not gonna get like we don't have to get dogged.
I don't want to I don't want to get disappointed because I've been disappointed for Kevin Durant.
I know the Miami.
We should have had Kevin Durant twice. Yeah, so like
I know we're gonna be interested in Kevin Durant, but we don't have nothing.
I don't think you want to be on Twitter if that happens.
What if
so crazy? You think Twitter is great? Imagine if we get Kevin Durant, but Brooklyn, I don't think Brooklyn would.
New York, like you would finally have a reason to gloat and actually have a superstar that's in New. Like you would have a reason.
I would order the jersey tomorrow. I don't invest in Knicks jerseys because I just don't trust them. Whoever is
the player's gonna be there.
I can't rock a RJ Barrett. Sorry, I know you went to Duke. I just can't do it. But if you give me Kevin Durant,
that'd be a mid-ass jersey.
I don't want to wear mid jerseys, because I got an Amari jersey when he got here, and I was hyped, and then I was like, damn man, this.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm waiting till we get the guy, then I will invest in my jersey. Maybe a Brunson, but you get Kevin Durant, I'm ordering that jersey. The second Woj drops the tweet.
I'll tell you, if Kevin Durant was traded to the Knicks today. Bro, Friday would be National Wear Your Kevin Durant jersey out in New York City Day. And everybody would have a Kevin Durant jersey.
And everyone who like, I wouldn't want him on my team would be like, would flip real quick. I'll flip real quick. Because if we get Kevin Durant and all that, like, that'd be, like I said, jersey invested, tickets cop for the next game. That would be the biggest thing. But I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
But they should make a call, though. No.
Why not call?
If Brooklyn's not, if it also depends what Brooklyn want, because does Brooklyn want to trade Kevin Durant to the team that's a few miles away?
Probably not, but you still call and test.
You call, no, 100%. You called same way you would call Boston if you heard anything about Tate. You make the call. 100%.
You got
Embiid's available. You call them and be like, hey, I know you're in New York, but like,
what you have picks like. You at least make.
We got the assets too. Like when we got some pieces that they may want. It's not a crazy idea.
You talk about RJ and Obi and probably
Grimes.
I know Knicks fans will be so pissed that you'll have to give up Quentin Grimes for freaking Kevin Durant.
I'll walk Quentin Grimes to the train and give him the Metro card and be like, hey, thank you for what you did. You hit that 3 you hit against the Philly. Thank you for that. But
y'all Knicks fan, and not you, but I'm saying y'all like the Knicks fan. Bro, when we were having those conversations and like everybody was so convinced that Quentin Grimes should not be in any discussion for Donovan Mitchell, I was like, who do you think Quentin Grimes is? Like, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
Find Quentin Grimes in the draft, though.
He is, and I don't care. You could who do you think? Who do you think you're trading for? Like,
exactly. But it's funny. Like a lot of the same people who were like, don't trade Quentin Grimes were the same people draft day were like, who the hell is this guy? This is not what we need and all that. So it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, they were going crazy. I remember watching because you were on Knicks fan TV that day.
I told them, I was like, oh, guys, this is because I had him around that range to go with Quentin Grimes, and people were like on the chat and like calling, like, who the hell is this guy? What are we doing and all that? And I was like, we're getting a good player, like. And if you watch his like high school stuff, like he has more to his game than when you even see in college or so. Like he's a solid player, like two-way player, like could shoot the ball really well. and has more to his bag than we see. So it's like, but Kevin Durant, yeah. I'm sorry, Quentin Grimes. We could find a bunch of Quentin Grimes in the draft. I cannot find a Kevin Durant. So, but I'm not gonna dream. Even though I did get Kevin Durant in 2K. Yeah, bro. That would be no, you make the call. You 100% make the call. So we'll see what happens. But it's gonna be oh my god, this Mo.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it.
See, that's why I don't want to bring it up, because then I'm gonna think about it like, yo, can we really make this happen? I'm gonna do a bunch of trades. I don't like trade machines and all that, but you're gonna make me do trade machines.
Trade machine, bro. We'll make it work on 2K. If 2K accepts the deal, it's realistic.
If it doesn't happen in 2K, then it's not realistic and all that. But we'll see what happens. That'll definitely be a game changer for New York. But Mo, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
You got anything coming up for? I know we got Super Bowl week at the network. You got anything for your podcast? I know you just dropped a new logo and a new video, which is pretty dope. And I plan on getting with your guy because that was a dope new look for your show and all that. So big things going on. So let the people know what you got going on for the podcast and for Super Bowl week at the network.
As far as for the podcast right now, I know I'm gonna record in the next day or two. Like you said, really basically officially like debut the logo. I put it everywhere. It's out there. Like that's gonna be the look from here in the intro. So like I really, want to be able to record and put that out there for everybody. It's Super Bowl week, so really it's gonna be, I'm gonna try and jump on as many shows as I can. I'm recording from. I think
tonight actually. I'm doing the best plays, the best performances in Super Bowl history. So I'm doing offense, defense, special.
Is that today?
That's today. So if you want to hop on with me later, you can.
As long as I'll see what my day looks like. I should be able to. I think I have Friday as far as actually hosting it. So like I said, throughout the week, I mean, bro, it's Super Bowl week. So it's like, that's the big focus. That's what everybody's going to be talking about. Well, we thought that's what everybody was going to be talking about until Kyrie Irving got traded. Then that just changed like the whole, even the media today, bro, just, not to get down this conversation, but I was
no storylines in the Super Bowl.
I think everybody thought they were going to talk about the Super Bowl today and intro like the week of Super Bowl. And then they were just talking about Kyrie Irving all day. Like they didn't plan on this. Bro. Like Friday, they probably were prepping all their notes, and then like all their notes went out the window. So yeah, but you can follow me at Mo_Cheese15 at Up in Flames Pod on Instagram. And make sure you check out Up in Flames anywhere you get your podcast.
Yeah, and if you're the NBA, you want to take away those headlines from the NFL. So you want KD news to drop like now because I forgot the Super Bowl was even happening this week. And this storylines there, that's the Andy Reid versus former team in the Super Bowl, team that fired him, thought he was done, hired Chip Kelly over him, and their storylines. But NBA, man, Kyrie Irving and then potential KD stuff is king. But we got a lot of stuff going on the network. Super Bowl week, I'm going to be hosting, like I mentioned, I'm going to be hosting tonight, going over the best performances, offense, defense, special teams. Going to do a couple of each. So got that on the network. So make sure if you're to subscribe to the YouTube and all that show on all OTBN platforms. Make sure to check out new sponsors and all that. Check out SeatGeek and all that. But I don't know. Be well, be safe, take care. Peace out.